Good morning, good morning, good morning. Rise and shine, rise and shine. Come on in here. Come on in here. Like, share, and subscribe as you come on in here. Let me know if you cannot hear me. I'm testing out new equipment today, new microphone, camera. So, new setup. Come on in, come on in. Like the video, like the video. There are a lot of things I want to touch on today. And listen, we got time today. So come on in. Let's talk about it. It's a lot going on in these political streets. It's a lot going on in the airways with these planes. It's just a lot. So come on in. Let's talk about it. Good morning. Good morning. Can you hear me? Sound check, sound check. Can you hear me? Let me know if you can hear me okay. Please. I don't want to be talking to myself, because y'all know I'm good for talking to myself. Come on in, like the video as you come on in. It's a lot to discuss today. It's a lot to get into today. So we got time. We got time. We're going to get into some things. We're going to talk about some things. I'm going to be able to engage more with you since I am not doing my Car Chronicle series today. I'm stationed in my little studio. So come on in. I do want to get into some things. I want to talk all things Trump, of course, President Trump. I want to talk all things President Trump. Listen, and I even want to talk about this Ilhan Omar. Child, I didn't learn some stuff that just didn't mess me up about this woman. So come on in. Maybe you know, listen, all I can say is Ilhan Omar and brother. We're going to get into the rest on how these two connect as we progress in this morning's show. So come on in. I also want to talk about these checks. These checks. Good morning. Good morning, Yaman. Can you hear me? Can you hear me okay? Can y'all hear me okay? I got my snazzy new microphone. Want to make sure that my sound, my audio is good. So let me know in the chat if you can hear me okay. Please let me know. But yes, check, cut the check. Word on the curb is President Trump is talking about cutting the check. So we're going to talk about that too. And these planes, child, if one more plane come down out this sky, just one more come down out this sky. It's too much. It's too much. It's too much. So today, you say you can hear me good. Thank you. So thank you for that. Today is, we're going to get into some things. We're going to talk about just all the madness, things that are going on. I think first I want to get into this plane situation, because they just dropping like flies. And some people are wanting to know as I'm on these videos and I'm in these comments, there are some people wondering if planes going down is actually more common than we may be aware of. And what I mean by that is that sometimes things pop off and we don't know about it. It doesn't hit the media. So in the comments, I saw some people questioning like, well, could it be that the planes go down like this, but as of late, it's just been hitting the media, and then the media, it's just been running with it, and it's just been getting a lot of views. So now they're like wanting to capture or tell the story on all planes that are coming out the sky. I don't know, child. I don't know, but these are just some thoughts that people are having, because recently someone mentioned to me that last year, I think there was maybe about 30 something plane accidents in total. And just already since the start of the year, we're already at like 60 plus. Child. We only in Black History Month. We are only in Black History Month. And we are already, from what I've learned, like in the 60s, as far as with like just mishaps centered around planes. So this is going to include, your commercial planes as well as private planes. What I'm also hearing is that private planes have accidents pretty often. I guess more often than the commercial planes. So as of late, I've just been hearing a lot of talk just centered around planes because people are like, what the hell going on? So just yesterday, some of you may know, I learned last night that there was another plane crash in Arizona. So apparently two private planes crashed into each other. I don't know how this plane don't see this plane, and somehow this plane can't move out the. I don't know how that worked, but somehow the two planes then messed around and collided. And one plane, it looks like, went down, and that's the plane that probably had the casualties because each plane had two people in them. One plane, the two people walked away uninjured, like literally was able to just walk away, lay in the plane. The second plane, it didn't work out quite like that. That plane went down, and those two individuals are no longer with us. So I don't have a lot of details pertaining to that information, but as of this morning, that was the information I had. The identity had not been stated as far as the individuals, in particular, the ones who lost their lives. But I did learn that in the area where the planes fly, it's not a regulated area where there's like traffic controls and things like that, where someone's like monitoring the traffic, making sure everybody's good. It's almost like if you on your own, if you are flying in that particular territory. So let me see. Let me try to get into, let me see if I still have that article up, because I kind of wanted to kind of get into that, because last night before I went to bed, that particular plane crash was brought to my attention. And let me see. Give me a moment. Let me see if I can bring it up, because I also want to pick back up on that DC plane crash, because that family has filed a lawsuit, or let me just say this. A person that was on that plane who lost their life from the DC plane, that was what, a few weeks ago, maybe 3 weeks ago. His wife, it was a gentleman who lost his life. His wife has filed a lawsuit, or is in the process with filing a lawsuit on behalf of herself and her 3 sons, because her husband and her children's father is no longer with us. So listen, sis, like, listen, I need 250 million. Yes, $250 million. So we're going to get into that. Like I said, I told y'all we're going to get into some things this morning, because people are trying to get paid. You know, these planes are just falling out of the air, and people are like, okay, I need to be compensated. I need to be compensated for these mishaps. So can you blame them? Can you blame them? So stay tuned. I got the video up. I'm going to share a video that I came across surrounding the plane crash from yesterday. So let me share my screen. Make sure y'all can see my screen. Okay. So this is the plane crash that happened yesterday in Arizona. And let me see, what was the city? It's not saying in this title, but they'll say it. But it was in Arizona, 2 small planes. So let's get it. Please, as you come on in, like the video, drop a comment, like, share, and subscribe. Let's get it.
Welcome back to Live Now from Fox. As we continue to follow some breaking news out of Arizona, you are taking a look at some live aerial footage. We are following the latest regarding a deadly plane crash at Marana Regional Airport. Here's what we know so far, courtesy of our partners at Fox 10 in Phoenix. You can see that several investigators, law enforcement officials, first responders are there on the ground, as you can also see the aftermath of that crash. Fox 10 saying this: at least 2 people are dead following a mid-air plane collision at an airport northwest of Tucson. That's according to what we heard from police earlier today. The Marana Police Department saying the crash happened February 19th, today on Wednesday, at the Marana Regional Airport, located near Avra Valley and Senderio Roads. The police writing on Facebook, quote, 2 confirmed dead, and both planes were smaller fixed-wing single-engine planes. The Federal Aviation Administration says a Lancer collided midair with a Cessna 172 just before 8:30 a.m. local time. 2 people were on board each plane. The National Transportation Safety Board will lead the investigation into this crash. We're still waiting to hear who the victims are. Their identities have not been confirmed. According to the FAA, the Marana Regional Airport is an uncontrolled field, meaning the airport does not have an operating control tower. FAA goes on to say that pilots utilize a common traffic advisory frequency to regularly announce their position to other pilots who are in the airport's vicinity. The pilot in command is responsible for maintaining safe separation from other aircraft. And
So, like I said, with these private planes in this situation, the pilots are responsible for pretty much their own traffic controls. Like, you got to make sure you don't see nobody, that you got to make sure that when you are coming into a certain area, you're communicating with other people that, hey, I'm here. Do you see me? There's no third party person like with the commercial planes that they have that's supposed to be monitoring the air traffic, because as we saw with the DC plane crash, it's like, well, what happened? How did this happen if people are, if someone is supposed to be designated to monitor the airwaves, the traffic in the air? So we saw that even with someone whose job was to monitor the air traffic, there was still an accident. This is a situation right here where there was no third party monitoring the air traffic. The pilots were responsible to monitor that themselves. It comes off as though like that's the norm for the for private planes. Like, listen, you out there literally on a wing and a prayer. Let's get back to this news clip.
Pilots operated into uncontrolled fields are still required to comply with all federal aviation regulations, including minimum visibilities, minimum safety altitudes, and right-of-way rules. You can see here that they have taped off what looks to be another one of these small planes, and you can see several other small planes there in this regional airport, as the FAA has said that it is an uncontrolled airport there. But there on the screen, you can see the aftermath as well, perhaps some of the debris from that airplane that was involved in this crash. I do want to head out to some posts on X regarding the latest in this investigation. This first one from the National Transportation Safety Board newsroom, saying that NTSB is investigating a mid-air collision between Cessna 172S and Lancer 360 Mk2. And we're seeing here that our team down at Fox 10 in Phoenix, they are currently speaking with some of the police and investigators on the ground. Let's take this live.
Prior to 8:30 a.m., officers from the Marana Police Department and members from the Northwest Fire District responded here to the Marana Regional Airport in reference to a report of an aircraft down. Officers arrived on scene, and it was learned that 2 aircraft were involved in the collision. Unfortunately, 2 individuals were confirmed deceased. The investigation is in the early stages and is ongoing, and the NTSB is en route to further the investigation.
And according to the FAA, we found out that the 2 aircraft involved, it's a Lancer aircraft and a Cessna 172. And the FAA also saying that there were 2 people on board each of the aircraft. 2 people passed. Now, the other 2 people, do we know anything about their conditions at this time?
From what I understand at this time is the other 2 involved are unharmed and they're doing okay.
Yeah, and again, all of this preliminary information, obviously this is happening as we speak. The FAA also describing this as an uncontrolled airspace, meaning there's no ATC control tower, meaning pilots have to communicate to each other about their positions via another type of frequency. We will continue to be here on scene and gather information at this time, but stay right here with Fox 10, both live on air and online for the latest details. Reporting live here in Marana, Lauren Clark, Fox 10 News.
So let's pause there. So knowing that, okay, you can fly a plane There's no third party out there to kind of help you to say, hey, look out for this, look out for that. Would you be good with being out there flying a plane? Remember, like the commercial planes, they have a third party system in place that monitors like those things that they can't see. With these private planes, these pilots, they are responsible for like everything. So it's like you on your own. You on your own. And I just want to I'm trying to understand how two planes in the same vicinity get that close to one another to crash with all the sky that we got. Like, how does that happen? How does that happen? So again, it's still early. The details of exactly how it happened, there's nothing that's not released yet. And given the fact that it's not monitored by like an air traffic control, I don't really see how we'll be able to get some type of like camera footage to try to be able to see like exactly how that happened, like we were able to see with the commercial planes, in particular, like that DC plane that went down, or well, there was a couple of, let me see. So we had two planes back to back went down. We had like that, the DC one with like what, 63 passengers in it, with the two that collided. No, let me see. Stuff started to run together, because remember we had the plane with the little girl who was having surgery. Okay. So the first plane, right, y'all let me know. The first plane was with the 63 passengers, and then a military plane crashed with it. Then maybe some days later, there was the plane, the hospital plane, the medical plane that was up in the air with a young girl who had just had medical procedures done, and then that plane went down. So in those situations, you have like a air traffic control type situation monitoring that. So we were able to get like footage and see, okay, what had happened, what it looked like, all of that. In this situation, since they're private, I don't see us getting that type of information, that type of intel, because there was no third party monitoring. As the reporter said, the pilots are responsible for doing that themselves, communicating to whoever they need to communicate through a certain system to say, hey, I'm here, I'm in this area. The question is, what happened? So remember, two planes, one went down, two casualties. There was the second plane that managed to, I don't know, both of those people in that plane walked away from the accident. They were able to land their plane and tell the story, but that story has not been released as of yet, or at least I haven't come across the details of that story as to what happened. Crazy. It's a lot. It's a lot. It's like literally at least once a week, probably multiple times a week, there is a report of a plane that has gone down. So good morning, Virtuous Warman. Welcome. Good morning. Yvonne said the Delta flight that had the crash landing that flipped are now offering each passenger $30,000. I forgot all about the one that was upside. I don't even know how you get, well, when I first learned about the plane being upside down, I'm like, how, Sway? Like, how, let's talk about the science, like how we get here in the Deborah Cox. How did we get here? But I did end up seeing the video footage of that. In this plane, this particular plane that Iman is talking about, it was a plane in Canada. It was a Delta plane in Canada. And when it went in to land, child, somehow it flipped over, and you just seen like a bunch of smoke or whatever. Let me see if I can find the footage on that one, because that one was crazy as well. And that happened, what was that? That was what, over the weekend? Let me see. That was just, I think, over the weekend when I saw that. Look, all these ghost stories, they starting to run together. I'm sorry, y'all. They starting to run together. because I actually forgot about that one. Let me see. All right, so I got it. Child, listen, we finna be moving around. We about to show another plane. We about to show the one that call itself trying to land in Canada and somehow just was on top of his head. So let's see how the hell, like I said, Deborah Cox, how we get here. We trying to figure it out, y'all, because too many people ain't got no answers. Too many people ain't got no answers. So let's see. Sure, y'all can see my screen. Y'all, as you come on in, please like the video, like, share, subscribe. So this is the plane, the Delta plane that was coming in to land in a Toronto airport. Y'all check this out.
Oh, fuck. Oh, no. Oh, Tower, you're seeing this airplane just crash into three.
Too much.
Oh, my God. Oh, my God.
What happened? What happened? How we do all that? What happened? All I got to thinking about is them people. I just got off a plane like a week ago. I had to go to California for business. I went to San Diego. And it was a lot of turbulence in air, child. When I say I prayed the whole flight, I was in prayer. I was in prayer in between this hollering child because I was in the back of the plane. Don't ask me why I chose the seat back there because I want to be by the damn window. So I'm back there with this hollering child. So in between screams, I'm praying to my Lord and Savior because it was so rocky. It was so rocky. So I'm wondering what happened when this plane was coming in to land to where it flipped over. Then I got to thinking about the people on the plane, y'all. I know what it's like to be upside down on a roller coaster, and that already just takes the life out of me. So can you imagine being on a plane and next thing you know, you on top of your head? And I got to thinking about just even children that may have been on that plane or babies that may have been on that plane to where when it went upside down, like, did everybody manage to stay inside of their seatbelt, child? Did everybody even have a seatbelt on? Because you got some folks that's going to do what they want to do and not have the seatbelt on. Now, there were some injuries I heard from this little situation. I don't know if them was them ones that I said to be bucking the system that did not have their seatbelt on, but there was some injuries, but I haven't heard of any reports of like anything life-threatening or anyone losing their life. But there was some injuries from this plane. I don't know if we want to call it crash, if it just crashed into the ground. I don't know what you want to categorize it. A plane mishap, crazy. I'm like, hell, like, life shouldn't have to be this hard. Life really shouldn't have to be this hard. I promise you, it really shouldn't have to be this hard. It's too much. Is prayer like is prayer enough anymore? Like, things are so crazy out here in these streets. Is prayer even enough anymore, child? Is it enough? Because it's like every day, almost every hour, every second of the hour, I'm seeing people on the internet crying about just how life is kicking their tail. And I get it. I understand. Like, I get it. It's a lot. And as a content creator, I try to keep up on things to come out here to cover them, to make people, to bring awareness to things that are going on, to talk about it, to help maybe with the understanding of it, or to even come out here to have those of you who find me on this internet to help me to understand the hell going on. Because it's a lot, and I'll be confused too. And speaking of confusion, Yvonne McGowan said they had to release their seatbelts upside down and fall to the floor. Child, Because you see, that's the system. I see it in movies, like, you know, when you'll see a car end up upside down and the person be stuck and they gotta get out the seatbelts and then you gotta fall. Like, so I understand it because, you know, I've seen it play out on damn TV in Hollywood. I shouldn't be understanding it from somebody telling me about it from real life, especially on a plane. And think about how, because when you're on the plane, that ceiling isn't just right there at your head. So from what Javon is saying is that when they had to release their seatbelt to fall, y'all, that's a nice little drop. Like, that is a nice little drop because it's a good distance from the ceiling to your head on the plane. Like, when you like really give thought to that, think about the ceiling, because not everybody 8 feet tall. Not everybody's tall. Some people are closer to the ceiling than others, but a lot of people are not that close to the ceiling, especially a child and a woman, because women are typically shorter than men. So if that's how they had to get out that situation, Lord Jesus, Lord be with them. Wow. But thank you for that, you know, that information. Moving on. So remember, I talked about the DC. We had the DC plane crash. So in the midst of me learning, you know, researching about the latest crash in Arizona, I came across a clip or an interview. It was a woman. I think she's the attorney for this family. It's an interview with an attorney who's representing the family who's filed a lawsuit against, let me see, who are they suing? I think they're suing the airline. They're suing the airline because this woman's like, listen, I ain't got no husband or no baby dad anymore. Like, he gone. So y'all gonna need to pay me for this. And remember, this is just one family. So we had over 60 people that was on that plane. Let me show you that clip, that video. Because this is just the start of it. And y'all know we've seen this coming. I mean, who wouldn't file a lawsuit in a situation like this? Like, so it does make sense. But I think what has people flabbergasted is the amount that this family came out the gate with, as far as what they say, go big or go home. Oh, sis definitely went big. So let's get into this interview with her, this woman, this family's representative, about this suit that this family has filed or is in the process of filing. And let me know your thoughts. Drop a comment. Let me know your thoughts. Welcome. Good morning, everyone. Happy Thursday. Please like, share, and subscribe.
As promised before the commercial break, we do want to get into some of our top stories. This includes more on the deadly plane crash that happened in our nation's capital. Do want to show you this live look that we have there in Washington, D.C. at this time. We do know that Clifford Law Offices, they're an aviation firm based there in Chicago, filed today pre-case claims against the Federal Aviation Administration and the U.S. Army involving a passenger killed in the January 29th mid-air crash of an American Airlines regional jet with a military helicopter, killing all 67 on board. Those claims were filed on behalf of the widow and children.
So they're saying they filed against the aviation, the national aviation, I guess, you know, that handles with monitoring the planes in the air, and the military, because remember, it was the military plane that that commercial plane collided with. So they're hitting them both. So I guess when you do the math, that's how they say you get the math. That's where this $250 million number comes in.
Of Casey Crafton of Connecticut, he died as a result of that collision, leaving behind his wife and 3 young sons. Such a tragic story. And we've been following it extensively here on Live Now from Fox. We brought it to you as breaking news when everything happened. But now I want to bring into the conversation attorney Tracy Brandmeier. She's there with Clifford Law Offices. Tracy, thanks so much for being with us here on Live Now. Again, our condolences first we want to send out to the family that's dealing with this very tragic situation, life altering. But let's first explain what those legal claims were filed that you had in court and what steps are going to come as a result of them. Tracy, I think you're still muted there.
There we go.
Perfect.
Sorry about that. Sure. So on behalf of the Crafton family, to clarify, we did not file claims in court. What we submitted were pre-litigation claims. These are administrative claims that are submitted to the federal government agencies. And that is a procedure that is set forth by the Federal Tort Claims Act that requires the submission of these claims and gives the government 6 months in order to accept or reject the claims as they are made. Historically, the government rejects these sorts of claims. And so after that 6-month period passes, we do anticipate initiating a lawsuit against the government in a court.
And it is something that like I said, we're continuing to follow here on Live Now. Thanks for making that clarification as well, because as it pertains to the legal jargon, we do want to make sure we get it right. And so that way everyone at home is also able to understand.
So my thoughts is with these claims, when they say, hey, we file a claim, I'm thinking just going, about insurance. They're like, okay, we're filing a claim. So the aviation, whoever they're filing a claim with, has the opportunity to settle that claim, probably with like some type of monetary payout. And if that doesn't happen, then that's when the lawsuit comes into play, and they try to get the monetary payout from that. So that's, just me being familiar with just insurance industry and the lingo dealing with claims, that's what is given to me. It's like they're giving the aviation like an opportunity to just make this right by just cutting a check. It's like, just make this right. We ain't even got to go through all that. I'm filing a claim. What happened? Okay, accept responsibilities, cut me this check, and we move on with life. But as this woman said, I don't know if she's an attorney, she represents the family. She's like, typically the agency, they will reject the claim and, they'll follow suit with filing the lawsuit. But it seemed like this process is usually like 6 months. So I guess they got like 6 months to give them, the aviation, the agency, whoever, the opportunity to address the claim, make it right, make the parties whole, however you do that. And when that doesn't happen, then that's when lawsuits come into play. So that's what I'm gathering from that. But let's see what else they say.
But can we talk about the focus right now of the claims? They're right now filed against the FAA and the U.S. Army. Explain why those two agencies and what prompted you all to go ahead and move forward.
Sure. So as many have seen with the NTSB investigation unfolding, and as our own investigation has revealed, both the FAA via its overhead policies and specifically via its air traffic control, and the U.S. Army via its helicopter that was active at night and its own operating policies in that area, really should have known that there was going to be these congestion issues. Frankly, the airlines knew this too. And at this point in time, as we investigate these claims, we're finding that there were a number of problems that a number of different parties were aware of, and that this was a preventable situation that unfortunately caused all of these passengers to perish.
And Tracy, in those filings specifically, you all mentioned the words that there were potential negligence as well as willful ignorance. Can you sort of dive into where those claims come from originally and why you think this was the best path forward?
Sure. So something like simple negligence would be the failure of the air traffic control person to ensure that his communications were indeed being received and understood by the helicopter when he instructed the helicopter to pass behind the aircraft, for example. But there's more to it than that. And that goes back to the history of congestion reports, near miss collisions reported for that particular airport, as well as a known problem with ATC, that's air traffic control, staffing shortages.
Yeah, and I wanted to dive a bit deeper into that as well. Let's talk about DC Airport as a whole as well. We know that there have certain policies so that way military helicopters are able to fly.
So far, what I'm hearing this woman say, like I'm with her on that. How do you justify not being able to monitor the airways to make sure that planes do not come that close encounter with one another? Like how, Sway? Like it's a business, air traffic control, like it's a whole thing. Like how? Like what is the justification of that? Like what do you say? The monitor went to the bathroom and it happened at that time. Like what do you say? Because from what I've learned from that situation is that air traffic control is already like short staff. And even with a lot of these like government cuts that are happening as of late, like there's more cuts, I think, centered around that area. So that area is already just lacking when it comes to like resources or manpower. So what I learned about that situation is that day there was at least, I guess, 2 people assigned, scheduled to work that shift. A supervisor allowed for one of the people to leave early, so it left just one person monitoring the airways. And then, you know, the accident, the plane crash happened. But why is it even only 2 people? Like it's crazy. It just doesn't make sense that the resources are that limited for something so major. So these points that this woman is making as to the why behind why they're putting their claim in, seeking answers, and as well as compensation, because she hasn't said with this claim what's connected to it. But to me, with me just understanding just with claims, insurance, I'm thinking that the claim is connected to them wanting some type of payout. Because with claims and insurance, a payout, if a claim is approved, a payout is made through a claim. So that's why a lot of times, you know, things don't lead to a lawsuit because there's a settlement, you know, it settled, the claim paid out. So in this situation, she's like, hey, we're presenting it to the FAA, U.S. Army, giving them the opportunity. We're not expecting for them to oblige, but hey, this is the process. And our next steps is going to be to file the lawsuit. And that's where this $250 million lawsuit come into play. I would imagine that if through the claims, if that is processed the way this family would like for it to be processed, it's not $250 million that they probably will be looking for. A lot of times policies will have like about $1 million cap, but big companies will have multiple policies. So it'll have to keep hitting the layer over the different, you know, excess policies. Insurance lingo again. But I would like to believe that through the claim, the payout or what they're seeking or requesting is a smaller amount than $250 million. I'm sorry. Listen, I'm not even used to saying $250 million. So excuse me, $250 million. So most likely the mindset is if you're going to force our hand to have to file a lawsuit, then we're going for the gusto. We're going big. So it will behoove you to pay out this amount because they probably have learned what these, I don't know if they may or may not know what these insurance limits are, you know, what the cap is as far as with these payouts. But I'm willing to bet that they will look to receive less than 250 million through the claim, filing a claim. Child, this is deep, but I'm not mad at them. I'm really not mad at them, because who am I to say what the value of someone's loved one is? And more often than not, when you sue someone or request for a certain amount of money, it's not that often that that's the amount you get. But typically, when you start high, you'll end up landing somewhere closer to that mark versus if you just didn't even maybe say throw out a dollar amount, or and then if you start out low, like people aren't going to give you what you want, but that's why a lot of times people go high, because it's like, okay, I want 250. I know they probably ain't gonna give me that, but 150 sounds like way less than 250, right? But $150 million is still a lot. So the strategy is, okay, let's lead with just this crazy number, because we know we likely probably won't get it, but anything just within the ballpark is still going to be a ridiculous amount that this family will be good with. So it's strategy. It's strategy. It happens all the time, even just with insurance. And that's when you go through the whole mediation, things like that. And I'm sure through this claim process that they've started, there's normally like a mediation, a little process, in that. And if there's no agreement and nothing comes out of it, then, we take it to the lawsuit. So it's levels to this thing, it's levels to it. But I am here for this family who are like, run me my check, because I think most people, if they're honest with themselves, they would go for they would try to get all that they could too, especially if they got legal counsel, and that legal counsel was like, bet this is what we going for, because she knows they're gonna have to pay this woman, the law firm, they're gonna have to get they cut with, that's gonna be a cool maybe about 40%. So that's damn near half. So just with the 250 at just the half is 125. So let's just say this family, if they can at least walk away with 100 million, I'm sure that lady will be feeling real good about life, because that would be more than enough to take care of her and her 3 sons. It's strategy. But let's get back to the video.
And pass behind planes. From several aviation experts that we've also talked to in the last few weeks, they said it's not uncommon for that to be practiced there. But you're talking about some of those near misses. Where did that data come from, and why is it that that's something that needs to be looked at, especially in this case?
There have been reports for years regarding various problems in that particular airport. And frankly, there has been an increase in near miss or other close problems with airplanes throughout the country at various different airports over the last 1.5 years or so. This is something that has been being reported with increasing frequency at the FAA. And it's something that really within the industry, people have been aware of for a long time. And so specifically with that airport, there has been this increasing congestion. And they recently added additional flights in and out of that airport on top of that. And then you also have these increasing frequency or number of air traffic control incidents that we've been seeing happening over the last 1.5 years. And so when you put all of that together, everybody was well on notice that there was a problem and that there very well could ultimately be an occurrence like this one. So this was preventable, and this is something that there was plenty of information and data to work from, and yet nobody took appropriate action ahead of time to prevent this.
So all of that translates to negligence. So she's laying it out like, we know they will win a lawsuit. It's just going to come down to the amount of money. But this is negligence. She's painting the picture, letting you know, hey, the background is this operation have been faulty at best. Like, they have not been operating at the high level quality capacity that they're capable of, that they should be operating at. So as a result of that, this has happened. But prior to this happening, there have been other incidents that have also happened. But this incident is probably like the biggest one. So they were like, listen, had you addressed these issues beforehand, we wouldn't be here today. So it's not going to be hard to win the lawsuit. Another thing is a lot of times lawsuit litigation, things like that, it can take a while. Y'all know going through the court cases, like it can take a minute. And I would think that the larger the amount that the person is trying to get, probably the bigger the fight, the longer it could probably take with going through the process. But when you got money like that on the line and you've lost loved ones, listen, people are like, listen, I got time today. I can wait it out because you owe me. You were negligent. And these airlines, they got it. Listen, they got as much as these damn plane tickets cost. Y'all know they got it. They have it. The money is there. Now, do they want to pay it out? I'm sure not. Nobody ever want to pay out. But the money is there. That's why the attorney, I'm sure, has advised them, hey, we're going to go, let's go with this. Let's lead with this number, because they have ways with researching and obtaining data to learn what like the financials are for, say, the U.S. Army. That's government. And then the FAA, like all of this is government. All of this, that's deep pockets. That's deep pockets. So the money is there. The money is there. So that's not even a thing. And it's not going to bankrupt the government either. It's there. So, child, it's a lot. But let me get through. Let me see. Virtuous woman said, it's a life they will never get back. And God forbid he was a sole provider. And I'm not mad at her. Hope she get every dime. I'm with you, right? Like I know she was a wife and she had 3 sons and they were young. So it's a good chance that he was the sole provider and she stayed at home with the kids. That's not uncommon for people to have that type of setup when they still have young children. I did come across a picture. Let me see. I'll share my screen. I'll show you a picture of the family. And let me see, beautiful family. So this is the family. This is what I found. So, you know, they're young, 3 boys. Their dad's just gone. She got to raise them. Like, she can't teach him how to be a man. Like, that was daddy's job. She was there nurturing them, making sure, you know, food. Listen, as a married woman, I have 3 children. Children need both a mother and a father. One isn't more important than the other. But what I will say, one can't replace the other. So what a mother provides to the children, a father can't provide it on that type of level. Just as what a father provides to children, a mother can't provide it on that type of level. It's the yin and the yang. It's the reason why you know, the male and the woman are required to create life, because we need parts of both, you know, the X and the Y, y'all, the X and the Y. So it makes sense. So this woman, like, that's gone. That's gone. Like, their dad is gone forever. Very sad situation. Virtuous says, Sheik, in 2019, I was hit by an 18-wheeler beer truck on 95. Took me 5 years to be compensated. It's a weight game, and then they want to weight you out so you can expect a smaller amount by being impatient. I believe all of that, because what I've learned, you know, with, you know, I got background, you know, dealing with insurance. What I've learned is that it's not often that insurance companies pay out on claims. And that's an issue a lot of people have, because they pay these premiums. But when it comes time for the claim to be paid out, it's just all this red tape, all these reasons as to why they don't want to pay it out. Oh, it's not covered, this, that, and the third. But though they've taken your premium for years, you know, you're paying on these policies to protect you in the event that something does happen. So when something does happen, you want to know, like, bet I got this policy that I can fall on and get this taken care of. But what I've learned from with the insurance industry is that most claims are not paid out. And the claims that are paid out are the really large claims. So I'm like, wow, like, so, but it took for me to kind of work in the industry to kind of learn that information. Like, wow, like, so you're saying most claims are denied, but the ones that aren't denied are typically the big ones. And as Virtuous Woman said, they will try to wait you out because they want you to be tired and be like, fine, all right, just give me something. I'm tired of going back and forth. I'm tired of having to continue to go to the doctor because it builds my case. I also learned that when it comes to insurance and payouts, you're more likely to get the bigger payout if there was a surgery involved. If there's a surgery. So that's why it's important. A lot of times, like if you have a case that your attorneys may advise you to go to the doctor, keep a dialogue, a note of like your appointments, your visits, your medical records, all of that, because all of that will be taken into an account when it comes time for you to be your information be reviewed for the payout. Because they're looking at, okay, pain and suffering, and then they're looking at like with the medical expenses. So the bigger the medical bill is, the bigger your pain and suffering is viewed, because it's just like, wow, like you likely got jacked up if you got a medical bill that's $500,000+, you got jacked up. So they got to kind of look down and drill down into that, like, okay, well, how exactly did this person get messed up on that type of level? And now how is their life now impacted going forward? Like, will they be able to work again? Like, will they be able to function the way they used to? Because the purpose of insurance is to make you whole. And to make you whole is to have you back in the financial situation that you were in prior to the accident happening. So some people feel like, oh, okay, well, people try to get rich off of, filing a lawsuit or the insurance, and they want to be made better than what they was prior to the accident. But truth be told, like people want to be compensated for just these inconveniences, because as Virtuous Woman said, like it was 5 years, a lot of back and forth. Like people want to be paid for that. Like it's mental, it's emotional. Like it takes a lot out of you to have to keep going back and forth, repeating yourself. Like it's like, I done told you this is what happened. This is how my body is now responding as a result of that. But sometimes like you're constantly repeating this, trying to build your case, get people to understand why you're asking for what you're asking for, and you're doing this until you're blue in the face, and it can get old and you tired. And that's when the whole settlements come into play, because people are like, okay, I can't do this anymore. Okay, I know I wanted 200,000. You said that you will give me 110. Okay, fine, give me 110. Like, because people get tired. People get tired, and the insurance, and they know this, because they got nothing but time and they got deep pockets. So they can fight you, they can continue to go to court. So, insurance, it's a crazy, crazy business. What I recommend anyone with any type of insurance policies is to read those policies to try to gain an understanding as to how they work. So therefore, if something were to happen, you know what you can do, or what type of power you have, like what kind of outcome you can probably expect because of this policy, based off of how it's written, because not all policies are written the same. They're not. So you really have to look at your policy. How is your policy written? Not how your neighbor policy is written. You got to look at your policy, because you can tailor policies based off of what your needs are. You can add, have stuff removed, things like that. So you really have to, when you're at a point to where you're needing to have a policy written, I would recommend, just from me and just having experience with the insurance industry, I would recommend speaking with an insurance broker, because businesses work with insurance brokers when it comes to their policies. So regular people, everyday people like me or anybody who may be watching me, I was like, oh, I need an auto policy. Oh, okay, let me call Geico and get a quote. Let me go online and get a quote. That's how we go about getting policies. And a lot of times, when we're going about getting policies that way, we don't really have the best understanding as to how these policies work, because we out here kind of doing it on our own, trying to figure it out. Going to Google, asking questions, trying to figure out, okay, what kind of coverage we need. Okay, I need general liability. I need auto, I need physical damage. Like, it's very high level what we're looking at. Commercial, like businesses have commercial insurance policies. So that's pretty much kind of what my background is and what I'm familiar with, commercial insurance. So they work with brokers. So the broker has the responsibility of making sure that they understand the needs of their client, which is the insured. So therefore, when they go shopping around for a policy, they can speak to the type of coverage that their client needs, down to like the details, to make sure that the policy is tailored for the needs of that business. And they'll shop it around, because not all insurance company can provide the same types of coverage, because insurance is a business. You're looking at risk. An insurance company may say, hey, y'all got a lot going on. I don't want to take on this risk because I can see a lot of claims being reported. So we'll pass. So the broker's job is to keep going to different insurance companies to present their client, their insured, their profile, to say, hey, this is what they need. This is what they need. This is what they're willing to pay. Can you make it happen? They need coverage. So that's why it's important for you to understand your policy. And if you have access to be able to work with a broker, an insurance broker, I would recommend you do that. That's what they do. They specialize. It's like this family has the woman who works at the attorney's office who's representing them in their case. And if she specializes in this type of issue. That's her lane. That's what an insurance broker is. That's their lane. They specialize in insurance policies. So they know, oh, okay, you have a construction company. Oh, I'm versed in that. I know what type of coverages you're going to want to have to protect your business. Let me try to get you a policy that's going to meet your needs. So when you need to utilize it, you're not going to have these type of you're not going to have problems. You'll be able to get your claims paid out, things like that, based off of how we wrote the policy, because I know what that policy needs to say. I know what that policy needs to say. So a lot of us regular people, we don't know all that. Remember, I'm speaking to you because of just me having experience dealing with the insurance industry, but everybody don't come from the insurance industry, and everybody don't know that. Everybody don't know that. And that's why a lot of claims do not get paid out, because that policy really wasn't written in a way to meet their needs like they thought it was. So when they're putting them claims, they're learning like, oh, that's not covered. Wow, that I really need coverage on something like that. But hindsight is 2020. They didn't converse with anyone, consult with anyone to talk about the details of their business, so someone can say, hey, this is probably what you want to have in the policy. You want to make sure that you have these, what do you call them? You add these endorsements to them. You want to add these additional enhancements to the policy, because that can take place. Like you really can have a policy built the way you want it. You're going to pay for it, because as you're adding these different coverages to it, you're going to pay for it. But you may find it to be worthwhile, because at least you know you are protected. Very sad story. So on this Facebook post, I was looking at some of these comments that people were made. Let me make the screen bigger so you can see kind of what people are saying. Someone says, y'all are slow. Do y'all know other families can file the same lawsuit for how much they choose to ask for? They may haven't yet, and this still ain't enough for the loss of life. Why y'all acting like that? Because it's mine. I'm asking for 5 million. I don't give 500 million. So this woman like, okay, y'all mad at her for asking for 250. If it was my family, I would be asking for 500 million. So again, like, we can't put a price on someone's loved one. Like, that's what they do. Now it's going to be up to the courts to say if whether or not, they agree with that payout amount. But as far as just the peanut gallery, like what we think, it really don't matter. It really don't matter. Someone says, seems a bit soon before the cause of the crash is determined. Regardless of the cause of the crash, it's still the lie up to me. Okay, to that comment, I don't think the cause of the crash has any bearing on the fact that there was negligence somewhere and her husband was in the care of the airline. So yeah, we can try to learn, like, okay, what was the root of, like, it's like your child, like something happening to your child at school, and you're holding the school accountable because your child was there under their care, but somebody is saying, well, no, don't try to file a lawsuit with the school because you need to find out, what caused the fire. Okay, what caused the fire at the school. Okay, we can find out all day long what caused the fire, but the point is my child was at the school. The school has the responsibility of my child. So that means the school has the responsibility over everything that takes place within the school. That other stuff is just extra information, extra intel that really has no bearing on them being at fault, or or her wanting the amount of money that she wants. I'm sure it ain't gonna change this woman's mind about how much she wants to be compensated for the loss of her husband. Someone says personal injury lawyers are a plague on society, driving up the costs of absolutely everything. So that's the thing. I mean, it's like a double-edged sword to where, with insurance, the insurance companies don't want to pay out. They don't want to pay out. But at the same time, people pay these premiums, and like they pay lots of money each year for these insurance premiums. So they want to know if something happens that they're being compensated, they're being made whole. And then if it's something major, they're getting some type of financial compensation for the inconvenience. So I understand it from both sides. So I can see how there is a challenge just with insurance and just with lawyers on, like, when it comes to payouts. Because also what I've learned about insurance is that when an insurance company goes to court because it goes to argue against, say, an insured over, say, a claim or something that wasn't paid out that they felt like should have been paid out, what I've learned is that more often than not, the judge will side with the insured, the person, because naturally the judge is looking at the insurance company as like a big empire, like you're the big guy. So we're here to make sure the little guy is not taken advantage of. And that's how we'll see with, people will have these large payouts. And me being, with the having to understand with insurance, not all situations that happen dealing with people's lives is at the fault or something that should be covered by the policy. Because remember I said, like, it might not, whatever you saying happened, it might not be something that was covered in your policy. And so they're feeling like, well, why we got to pay that out? That's not our fault. Like, this doesn't even have nothing to do with how this policy is written. But what I've come to learn is that the judges, if there's any gray area where it could look like it can be, covered under the policy, or it could look like it could not be, the judge is more likely to rule in favor of the insured, because they're deemed as the little people, the small people. So insurance companies, they really don't like that and have an issue with that. And that's too why some of you may or may not have experienced where you're shopping around for policies and the insurance company might be strict and be like, no, we don't want to cover you. We don't want to cover you because they may know that they live in a particular state. I think Texas was one of those, is a state that a lot of times, insurance companies don't be wanting to kind of deal with, is because it's known as a state. I think California also, but some of these states are known to heavily favor on the side of the insured. So the insurance company, like, okay, fine. Since y'all gonna be ruling in favor of the insured, we're gonna make it very strict. We're gonna have all these stipulations in place, and when it comes to writing a policy, and if you don't meet them or you don't want to pay this premium, then we're not gonna write you a policy. And we see, like, with these fires on the West Coast in California, where a lot of those people had gotten dropped right before the fires for their property insurance, because those insurance, they know fires are prone out there, and they know that if something pop off and people get to filing claims to have, to be made whole, these insurance companies know that it's going to be expected for them to pay out. They're thinking like, shit, this is going to bankrupt me. Like, we can't keep covering this. We can't keep covering these type of risks. We can't do it. So let's just try to move away from property insurance. So you might have a company that say, hey, we don't write property insurance. We don't write property insurance at all, or we don't cover fires. They'll just drill down to like these specific things that they'll say that they don't do, because they're doing it out of protection, because they've actually seen a lot of claims come through for them, or they see, just looking at just the data, the research is showing that there is a potential of a large number of claims coming. And that can put you out of business. That can put you out of business, because I think about that as far as with all those fires on the West Coast. Excuse me, with all the fires on the West Coast, like, people who did have property insurance and then there was fire coverage, was there one particular company that was covering a large majority of a lot of those homes? And what does their book look like after paying out on these claims? Like, what's left? What's left? Is there money? If you're paying out all this money for these claims associated with the property and fire, you could use up all the money to where there's no more money to pay out other types of claims. Say if you write policies for auto, you write policies for workers' comp, like other types of policies, all your money can just go into property because of these fires, and there goes the business. So that's how insurance companies view it. And it's called spreading the risk. So they'll say, okay, we're not going to write any more policies for property in California. We're going to, write policies in Oklahoma. We're going to just have them over there, because we see property, policies in California with the fires. It's a high risk with payout, and we can't afford it. It'll bankrupt us. So that's when they'll move around and say, hey, we no longer provide this type of coverage anymore. So for you all who not familiar with insurance, that's what it's rooted in. They'll stop providing coverage because based on the data, they're seeing that with the claims coming in, it's going to just bankrupt them, it's going to take all the money. They're not going to have any more money to pay out anything else. So they're like, hey, we can't cover that anymore. If we want to keep the doors open, keep the lights on. I mean, if you want to keep the lights on, then we can't cover those type of risks anymore. We got to do something else. We can't do it. But yeah, that's pretty much how, it works in the insurance. Virtuous says, gotta go, Dr. Job. Have a good day, virtuous woman. Thank you. Yvonne McGowan says, probably why this family filed so quick due to the company's possibility of bankruptcy. Yes, what they say, that's real. The early bird catches the worm, because other people eventually, are going to eventually file suit as well. But they got to get what's left, because if this lawsuit get the bulk of the money, then anybody who's coming after that, they got to try to fight to get whatever that's left that can be paid out, because these places, these companies can't give you what they don't have. Now, these companies, like I said, do have insurance policies. So even with them filing these suits against the FAA, U.S. Army, these agencies are going to refer to their policies, and they're going to look through their policies, or have whoever look through their policies to see where the coverage is. So therefore, the policy can pay it out. Now, the policies will have a cap. So the policy will pay out however much it capped at. So if the cap was at, say, 10 million, the policy would be like, hey, say if it's State Farm like, okay, we on this 250 million, we got 10 million on it. You got to refer to maybe another policy of yours to get the other. And you see it kind of adds up to whatever the payout amount is. That's why a lot of companies, most companies, they have multiple policies, because one company can't possibly take on the entire risk. Because look what happened. One insurance company can't take on the risk to pay out $250 million. I'm just saying, they're not. So they have to have maybe 20 different policies, to where it's something like this pop off, it hits the layer on every policy. So if there's 20 policies, it's 20 layers. So it's first going to hit the main one. That one cap out, let's just say at maybe 50 million. Okay, once that's paid out, done. You move on to the next policy. That one might cap out at 10. All right, then, well, put your 10 on it. You see what I'm saying? That's how it works. It's going to hit all the policies and all the layers. And that's how it adds up to, say, the 250 or whatever the payout is going to be. But it will be multiple policies that's going to pay out. So if you do not have multiple policies, or if all your policies have been hit and there's still monies left over, that's when the business have to just come out of pocket and make up for that difference. If all the policies have paid out their maximum amount that they agreed to pay out, and say there's a 20 million still left to be paid out, then the business would have to pick that up just out of their money, and versus the policy, because the policy paid out what they were contracted to pay out. So it's layers to this thing. Literally, it is layers. Definitely come to understand your insurance policies, and maybe this will prompt some of you to revisit your policies and switch up some things. Make sure you have certain things covered, things that maybe you hadn't had covered because you didn't think it was that big of a deal. Look into your policy limits. If anything happens, if someone wants to sue you, what's the amount your policy will pay out? Because remember, it's going to stop there. Anything after that is going to be on you, unless you have other policies to refer to. So that's what I have in the in the world of the planes are falling down. It's a lot going on. What else I wanted to cover? Ilhan Omar. Let's talk about Ilhan. I didn't call her Ilhan. Ilhan Omar. She's a politician. out of, where's she from? She out of Massachusetts. Where Ilhan from? But listen, her word on the curb is her citizenship is in question and is rooted in allegations that her second husband, because now she on husband number 3, her second husband, it is alleged, is her brother. And allegedly she married him so that he could get citizenship. So all of that's kind of been unfolding. Trump's been making comments on that. Let me pull up the article that I came across. But Trump's been making comments on that because right now there's, people are pushing for her to be deported because they feel like, she's defrauded the system when she married her brother. So like I said, she's been married. She's the representative for Minnesota. She's representative for Minnesota. Let me see. Let me see. Try to find the article I found to her brother. I said, Lord said ain't so. I'm going to share my screen. Y'all let me know if y'all familiar with this case, this story. Because I was not until just last night. So this is an article out here with Ilhan responding to what people are saying. Ilhan Omar reacts to news claiming to confirm that she married her brother. Allegedly, there's DNA tests out. There was a DNA test done that proved that they were related. So like there's just stuff going on. So let's see what this article is saying. An old rumor that Representative Ilhan Omar married her brother and committed immigration fraud resurfaced as a report claimed that it is not anymore a rumor, as a personal friend has now confirmed on record that she indeed married her brother. Woo, child. According to the UK Daily Mail, sources confirmed that Omar told her friends that her second husband was actually her brother and that the marriage was a scam to get him immigration papers. Now, this is a new one for me. I ain't never known for somebody to go that far as to marry their sibling for citizenship. So I when I say I wasn't ready last night, I wasn't ready. I wasn't ready. She wasn't ready. An old rumor that Representative Ilhan Omar married her brother and committed immigration fraud resurfaced as a report claimed that it is not anymore a rumor, as a personal friend has now confirmed on record that she indeed married her brother. According to the UK Daily Mail, sources confirmed that Omar told her friend that her second husband was actually her brother and that the marriage was a scam to get him immigration papers. One of these friends told the newspaper that when this apparent marriage happened, it was considered a major scandal in Minneapolis, Somali, in the Minneapolis Somali community. At that time, the Democrat leader was not a political figure. Quote, no post from Ilhan or at Ilhan since this was confirmed to be true. A post read, Ilhan Omar replied to it and wrote, the only thing that is confirmed is your stupidity. Hope that helps. So people were saying, I guess initially, like she wasn't really making any comments about these allegations. But the comment she finally made was this one. The only thing that is confirmed is your stupidity. Hope that helps. Crazy. In past, even Donald Trump promoted the rumor that Ilhan married her brother, while the Minneapolis congresswoman denied that she and her second husband were related. Daily Mail quoted Abdicom Osman, a friend of Omar's first and third husband, who confirmed that it was a well-known scam. He reportedly said that the marriage was conducted through a Christian minister, even though both Omar and Ahmed Elmi are Muslims. Fun fact. So this woman's been married 3 times. She's on her 3rd husband. Her first 2 husbands both had the same name, Ahmed. So she has 3 children. Her first husband, I think she was married to him from 2007 to I think 2000 and maybe 18, 19. And then she married allegedly the brother. Then she was married to the brother from 2018 to 2019. And then in 2020, she married her current husband, the man that she's married to. And he got his own, he got his own dramas going on. We'll get into that, but let's finish, discussing the wife. The Daily Mail provided a chronology of events that unfolded after Ilhan Omar and her family settled in Minnesota after fleeing war-torn Somalia in 1997. In 2002, she married Ahmed Abdesan. Remember, I told you it was 2 Ahmeds. So in 2002, she married the first Ahmed in a religious ceremony, but it was not recognized legally. The couple have 2 children. In 2009, Omar married Ahmed, the second Ahmed, and in 2011, they split. In 2012, Omar and her first husband had their 3rd child. So remember, I said she had 3 kids. So she had 2 kids with the first husband. They split. She got with the second husband, who's allegedly the brother. They split. She spent the block, went back to the first Ahmed, and had a 3rd child with him. In 2017, Omar divorced Elmi, and in 2018, she married her side. That's the second. So in 2018, she divorced. And let's see. In 2017, she divorced the first Ahmed. In 2018, she married the second Ahmed. Now Omar and the second Ahmed are divorced. That's the one that's supposed to be allegedly her brother. The report said that there is no evidence to prove that Omar and Elmi are brothers and sisters. In 2020, the FBI was reviewing the marriage. Omar, said she needed to get papers for her brother to go to school. We all thought she was just getting papers to allow him to stay in this country, the friends say. The friends say they didn't know a girl was talking about becoming the wife to her brother so he can stick around. They thought she was just, I guess going down to the local courthouse, filing some paperwork to get him to stay. Child, you can't make this stuff up. Yes, Siobhan, the guy, that is crazy, crazy. Your mom said, I started hearing about this 5 years ago. Yes, I mean, I remember about maybe 4 years ago, when she married the man that she's with now. So let's get over there, because I told y'all she got a 3rd husband now. So she got done playing with the Ahmeds. She said, forget it. Let's try something different, because it ain't working out. So let me just try something different. So she went and got her a white man. She went and got a white man. And so we about to see what he all about. What is this man, the new man, all about? This is the man she married in 2020. So this is a picture of Ilhan and her current husband, Tim Minette. And that's the husband. He's Tim Minette. This is husband number 3. Keep in mind, Ilhan is a 42-year-old woman, and she has 3 children by the first husband. So let's get into the business of the 3rd husband. Who is he, Harper? Who is this man? Representative Ilhan Omar's husband, accused of swindling investor in their California winery. Child. So you got allegations against her with immigration fraud, because allegedly she married her brother. husband number 2, to get him citizenship. So she navigating through that. So this the husband. This is what he got popping off. This his situation. They both got their own things going on. One clearly can't help the other because they both out here allegedly doing the absolute most. Let's see what the mister is doing, what he got going on. Let's see what he got going on. Tim Mynett and his business partner, Will Heller, denied defrauding the investor, while another company they started owes $1.2 million to cannabis growers in South Dakota. Lord Jesus. So Ilhan's husband got some man saying, hey, you owe me some money. But that's on top of somebody else already saying, you owe me some money. You owe me even more money. Can't make this stuff up. So this hit the news. This article is dated June 5th, 2024. But it's definitely relevant information because it's just painting a picture around just the moral compass of these individuals, given that these allegations are out here circling around them. So in the fall of 2021, the DC area restaurant owner, Naeem Mode, was presented with an unbelievable investment opportunity. 2 political operatives turned venture capitalists would triple Mode's money in just 18 months if he invested $300,000 in their new California winery. The pair had been paid in grapes by a former client and had hired a well-respected Sonoma winemaker to turn those grapes into profit. They promised if they did not pay Mode the full $900,000 on time, they will tack on 10% monthly interest on any outstanding balance, according to the contract shared with the reformer. The offer might have seemed suspicious if not for the person making it, Tim Mynett, a well-connected political consultant and husband of U.S. Representative Ilhan Omar, whom he married in 2020. Mynett came recommended by Mode's attorney, Faisal Gill, a former Democratic operative himself, who knew Mynett from his days working on Keith Ellison's congressional campaigns. Mynett and Gill had been friends since. Omar endorsed Gill in his unsuccessful bid for the LA County attorney, and Gill donated $1,000 to Omar's campaign in 2021. I trusted Tim, Gill said in an interview. If it was not for Tim, the deal would have never happened. Mode wired the $300,000 to Mynett and his longtime business partner, Will Heller, with whom he founded a political consultancy called E Street Group in 2018. But 18 months came and went without Mode receiving the 200% return he was promised from the winery. Mynett and Heller only returned Mode's $300,000 about a month late, according to a lawsuit Gill filed on behalf of Mode in California last fall, seeking at least $780,000. So remember, when this man came to him and said, hey, can I borrow some money from you? I promise to pay you X amount of dollars and with interest if I do not pay it on time, 10% additional interest. He didn't pay it on time. And then he didn't even pay just even the amount of money that he said he would pay him for just loaning him the money to begin with. All this man gave him back was just the initial $300,000. The complaint, which has not been previously reported, claims the pair fraudulently misrepresented that SCRU LLC was a legitimate company. Heller and Mynett denied they defrauded Mode. Rather, they say they simply struggled to build a successful business in a challenging industry during the C-19 pandemic. ESTCRU LLC, like many wineries, is living invoice to invoice, sale to sale, to stay afloat given the economic conditions of the industry, Heller wrote in a response to a list of questions from the reformer. Heller declined requests for an interview on the phone. Ciao. The winery's struggling finances represent a significant change in fortune for Minette and Haler since Omar announced she would no longer use their firm East Street Group on her campaign after paying them around $3 million in 2020 election. You know, when I say the husband can't help the wife because he got his own struggles, this is what I mean. This is what I'm talking about. This is what I'm talking about. You got the wife being accused of immigration fraud. You got the husband being accused of taking advantage of people for the sake of a come up, for a financial come up. Is this a match made in heaven? I don't know what you call this type of relationship. What do you call it? What do you call it? But before we get out of here, I want to just, end things on a positive note. And I want to talk about these checks that President Trump may be cutting to the American people. So let me just jump over there really fast so we can, because I don't want to hold you too long. It's been an hour and a half. But President Trump is saying, listen, y'all know, we've been looking for this money that's just been getting spent in all places where it shouldn't. And really, you deserve the money, the American people. So let's talk about what Trump's great idea is as of late. As of late, what is Trump's great idea? Trump floats giving 20% of Doge savings to American citizens. Let me make the screen bigger. To American citizens. What does this mean? Let's see. What does this mean? President Trump floated the idea Wednesday of returning some of the savings recouped by Elon Musk's Department of Government Efficiency to the U.S. citizens, with an equal amount going to pay down the federal debt. There's even under consideration a new concept where we give 20% of the Doge savings to American citizens and 20% goes to paying down debt because the numbers are incredible. He said, I guess these numbers are so crazy with the amount of money that they're finding that just was going places where it shouldn't. It's enough to cut a check. Trump made the remark at an event in Miami Beach, Florida, a day after Musk indicated on X that he would ask Trump about the Doge dividend, described as a tax refund check sourced from the Trump administration efforts to dismantle parts of the federal government. Do y'all think if this were to happen, these two men would be in the American people's good graces? Because y'all know people been cussing both of them out from the windows to the walls. But y'all know, what they say, money talks, money talks. People probably would gladly accept that check and still be like, but you still get on my nerves. But hand me my check, cut my check, but you still get on my nerves. You still on my list. You still on my list. Musk was at an event seated near the White House Chief of Staff, Susie Wiles, the National Security Advisor, Mike Waltz, and Trump's son-in-law, Jared Kushner. Trump appeared to confirm to reporters aboard Air Force One that the idea for the 20% dividend came from Musk. Remember, this is that rich man, they say, just trying to get more rich and trying to take people money. That's why he's trying to get into everybody's business. It's that man who they saying doing all that, but Trump is saying he's the one who posed the idea of giving back to the American people. Quote, I love it, Trump said Wednesday night when he was asked about the proposal, which a reporter characterized as a Musk proposal. A 20% dividend, so to speak, for the money that we're saving by going after the waste, fraud, and abuse, and all of the other things that are happening. I think it's a great idea. Trump suggested in his remarks earlier in the evening that the proposal to disperse Doge savings to American citizens could give people incentives to report waste on their own. So he like, listen, if people have a little hotline that they can call to report somebody wasting money, and they know that as a result, it could be money going back into their pocket. Listen, people are going to be selling people out right and left. Kind of like them people getting caught up with these PPP loans. They like, well, hell, my mama got one too. You need to go holler at her too if you over here in my face. By doing this, Americans will tell us where there is waste. They'll be reporting it themselves. It's dry snitching. They'll participate in the process of saving money, he said. Trump did not provide any details about how how such a plan would come to fruition or what the other 60% of Doge savings would be used for. The spokesperson for Doge did not immediately reply to a request for comment. It is unclear exactly how much Doge has eliminated or recouped despite persistent vows for transparency, particularly by Musk. Doge says on its website that it has saved $55 billion, pointed to drastic cuts to the U.S. Agency for Internal Development, the Education Department, and the Consumer Financial Protection Bureau. But some of Musk's claims about the Doge work have not held up scrutiny. On Monday, Doge said it recouped $8 billion worth of savings from the canceled contract at the Department of Homeland Security. A closer analysis revealed the figure was 8 million. So they're like, Musk like, we out here moving. We moving money. We got 8 billion on it. Like, no. You know, slow your roll. It's 8 million with an M, not a B. Musk has acknowledged that his team will make mistakes. He's like, look, we got a little happy, but 8 million ain't nothing to sneeze at either. It's still a lot of money. Quote, we will make mistakes, but we'll act quickly to correct any mistakes, he said at the White House news conference this month. Musk initially said Doge would find $2 trillion in savings, but he backed off that figure last month. But let me know, are you here for a check? Are you here for a check? Hey, what's up, Karen? Good morning. Good morning. Are you here for a check? Your mom said, my understanding is that it will be $5,000 per taxpayer. I'm here for that. I am here for that. Who can use a cool $5,000? Y'all think if we got cut a check for $5,000, we have to pay taxes on it? We have to claim it on our taxes? I don't know. Questions. But the story that I, led with, as far as in the title of this video, President Trump congestion pricing in New York. Let's talk about that. Congested prices. So right now, Trump is going back and forth with the leaders in New York with a particular woman. Let me see. What is her name? Because she ain't got no love for Trump. So let me see. Let me pull up that story that I had. Congestion price. Let me pull up the story because Trump out here pissing up. As per usual, he out here pissing off people. He out here making them mad. He's out here making them mad. So let me share my screen. He doing what he do. He between him and 50 Cent, I don't know who damn stay pissing people off the most. Trump administration moves to end New York congestion charge. So here's the thing with that. Right now, New York charges people to drive during busy times. I think it's upwards. I was seeing maybe about $9. And Trump was like, because some of you all in your city, I know I live in Georgia, so you have like your fast pass lanes, like certain lanes on the highways that you can drive in if you have paid money, to drive in that lane. It's supposed to help you navigate through traffic better. It's just, the convenient lane. The convenient lane. Hey, what's up, Sue? Says thanks for the continued updates. Thank you for joining you all. Make sure you like the video. So make sure, can y'all still see my screen? Okay, so let's get into it. Trump administration moves to end New York City congestion charge. So Trump like, we don't need to be paying no charges. We don't need to be paying no charges to be driving on these streets. American people have paid enough money. New Jersey people pay enough money. New York people pay. Nah, we don't need all that. The article goes on to say the Trump administration is moving to end New York City's congestion pricing plan, which charges vehicles entering the city in certain areas, then uses tolls to upgrade its aging transit system. The Trump administration said the federal government has jurisdiction over highways leading into the city and is revoking its approval of the controversial program over concerns it unfairly burdens working class residents in the region. Congestion pricing is dead, President Trump said on social media. Manhattan and all New York is saved. Long lives the king. Long lives the king. That is what Trump put out there on his social media. New York, which launched the program just last month, is vowing to fight. They like, you ain't gonna come up in here and F up our little plan. We done put a lot of time, effort, energy, brain power into putting this system in place. What you not gonna do, King, is come up in here and just get to just undoing stuff. This is what you're not gonna do. This is the energy they're giving him. This is the energy they're giving him. So they're vowing to fight against Trump, arguing the program is helping minimize traffic and travel times. We are a nation of laws, not ruled by a king. New York Governor Kathy Hochul, not sure how she pronounced her name, but I'm pronouncing it, Hochul, said, "We'll see you in court." The program poses a $9 toll on vehicles entering Manhattan between 60th Street and the southern tip of the island in the financial district. The toll is in place on weekdays. The toll is in place on weekdays from 5 a.m. to 9 p.m. and on weekends from 9 a.m. to 9 p.m. Child, that's all damn day. That's all day. Can you imagine putting $9 every child? New U.S. Transportation Secretary Sean Duffy notified Governor Hochul that he was rescinding approval of the program and will work with officials to halt the tolls. He called the program a slap in the face to working class Americans. Commuters using the highway system to enter New York City have already financed the construction and improvement of these highways through the payment of gas taxes and other taxes, he argued. Like, y'all done got y'all damn money. The toll program leaves drivers without any free highway alternative and instead takes more money from working people to pay for a transit system and not highways. It's backwards and unfair. New York officials vowed immediately to fight the Trump administration. Its transit agency, the Metropolitan Transportation Authority, MTA, on Wednesday asked a judge to make a declaratory judgment to prevent the administration from moving forward with plans to end the program. Who is here for ending paying $9 to get to and from work? Like, child, that's a round trip. So you got to pay $9 to get there to work. Then you still got to go back home. So $18 a day, you in the hole before you get your little paycheck on Friday. Hochul said the toll will continue, and in a fury speech at a subway station on Wednesday said Trump was trying to take away the state's rights as part of his revenge tour. New York hasn't labored under a king in over 250 years, and we sure as hell are not going to start now, Hochul said. This is an attack on the sovereign identity, our independence from Washington, and our independence from Washington. We are a nation of states. This is what we fought for. Hochul held up a photo posted earlier Wednesday by the official White House account on X, which showed Trump in a faux magazine cover wearing a crown with the words, "Long live the king, long live the king." We are not subservient to a king or anyone else out of Washington, Hochul said. So this is the fight we're in. It's all about our sovereignty. She and others at the news conference argued the new program lowered traffic by 9% during the month since it started. It also cut traffic accidents in half and increased the use of other transportation, such as the city subway system, she said. Transportation officials have argued the program would help relieve traffic in the city and help first responders trying to reach emergencies quickly. Money raised from the tolls will help bolster funds for its ongoing subways, which have garnered headlines over the years from massive underground floods during heavy rains. New Jersey's Governor Phil Murphy sent a letter to Trump last month, the same day the president took office, asking him to assess the program and its impact to his state. On Wednesday, he applauded the Trump administration for halting the program, saying in a statement that the program placed an unfair burden on commuters who work in the city. The current program lines the MTA's pockets at the expense of New Jerseyans, he said. So what I've come to learn is a lot of people who live in New Jersey, apparently, I don't know if there's like this bridge or something, they commute over to New York to work. So again, like I said, if you're paying $18 round trip Monday through Friday, y'all, let me do the math on that because I ain't gonna act like I can do it in my head. That's $90 for 5 days. If you're working Monday through Friday, a regular 8 to 9 to 5 shift, $90. So times that by 4, that's $360 a week. If you got some people who can't even afford to even have their own just reliable car, like where is this money coming from? You got a lot of people who live in New York, New Jersey, who can't even afford cars, don't even have cars, so they rely on just the transportation, the city, transportation, the state transportation, because everything is so expensive. New York is super expensive to do anything in, just like California. So I can understand why people are upset about having to pay that amount of money to show up to a place to make more money. Like I said, you already in a hole. So let's just say your little check is $1,000 a month. You already in a hole. So you 1,000 minus the 360, which you got $640 left because you paid $360 just to get to the job to make the $1,000. Make it make sense. So I get it. So I'm here for the removal of it. If people think transportation, traffic is crazy, then they can resort to, the other forms of transportation, the train. So it makes sense to me because I don't think that someone should have to pay that type of money to get to work on a daily basis. I'm just saying. I'm just saying. Karen said, I just read your comment, Yvonne, about the $30,000 for the plane people. I'm not greedy, but I think my life is worth more than that. I know that's right, Karen. Yvonne said, Trump said he will start IRS layoffs today. Y'all know I'll be back covering it. Yvonne said, you're right, Karen. I'm with you. Karen says, I hope these people get good lawyers and don't take that offer. I don't even know what offer would be accepted, but they are probably offering this quickly to make it go away. Yes, it's a lot going on. It is a lot going on, but that's what I have for you in today's news. And I'm sure just while I've been on this live for the past hour and 46 minutes, other stuff has popped off. So that will be in future coverage. So make sure you have your notifications on, you like, share, and subscribe so you know when I go live. Also, follow me on TikTok. I'm now, starting to get active on my TikTok account. You can follow me over there at Chic Speaks on it. So over on TikTok, Chic Speaks on it. So I have some short videos and things like that posted over there. So I want to start having a presence over there. So make sure you follow me over there because sometimes I may go live over there. The thing about TikTok is that when you do go live, it doesn't save. So listen, if you miss it, There's no part of there's no being a part of the replay gang. So the replay gang apparently isn't a thing over there when it comes to live. So make sure you follow me over there. So once I get my following up, I will start going live over there and talk about a lot of these things that are going on. What's up? Good morning, Pepper's Place. Good morning. Good morning. Yvonne McGowan says, everyone have a safe and blessed day. Karen says, I live in New Jersey and I know lots of people that work in New York and they can't afford it and the trains are unreliable. Thank you for that. I forgot you did mention that, Karen, about being in New Jersey. I'm glad you can speak to that because just me living in Georgia, we used to have a toll that was for a highway called 400. And for years, I never worked in an area going that direction where I had to utilize it or lived in that way because I didn't want to deal with it. But finally, they got rid of it. They probably got rid of it maybe about 7-8 years ago. But I know whenever I go to Florida, it's just so annoying because they have so many tolls and I'm reminded of the tolls when we go. I don't really think about it until when I go to Florida and, on a road trip. And it's like, oh yeah, they do have all these tolls. So you have to have money on hand to be able to get through all these tolls. It's just ridiculous. It's just crazy. And then you trying to go to Disney too. You already barely can afford to get to the park, let alone now you got to try to pay these tolls to get to some place that's crazy. Make it make sense. It's not making sense. I am really happy about the idea of a check being cut for the American people. I'm here for that. You all leave a comment. Let me know your thoughts on it. Karen says they go to work to pay tolls and gas. That's what it sounds like. That listen, that's what it's given. That is exactly what it's given. That is what it's given. But I'm not going to hold you all too much longer. Thank you. I hope you all have a wonderful Thursday. Thank you for tapping in with me. Definitely be a part of Replay Gang if you missed any of this live. But we got into a lot of things, so you definitely want to be a part of the Replay Gang. But again, make sure you have your notification bells on so you know when I go live. Stay tuned. I'm going to be posting some more shorts. Try to get into some pre-records. I got my fancy new camera, so that's what I'm kind of working with today for the first time as I'm trying to kind of, get my focus and everything together. So bear with me, growing pains. We're growing. But I thank each and every one of you all for rocking with me, Take care of yourselves and one another. Heavy on the take care of yourselves. Karen, thank you for coming through. Pepper's Place, Yvonne, Virtuous Woman. Thank you all for anyone who tapped in, made a comment. Leave a comment on the video. Let me know your thoughts on any of this. Are you here for congestion pricing? That was a new term, y'all. I had never even heard of that. So, but I understand what it is. I just didn't know it was a name called congestion pricing. So learn something new. But if you're not familiar with that, definitely get into that because it's crazy. It's crazy. And it seems like many people who have been impacted by congestion pricing are here for the removal of it. So we'll see what happens. As of right now, it hasn't been removed. These are just some things that President Trump is working on. So stay tuned. Stay tuned. Thank you, Karen. Thank you so much. You all take care of yourselves, one another. Heavy on to take care of yourselves. And I will catch you on the next broadcast. Peace.